Hey guys, Set Games here. On this video, I wasn't really planning to do it at first, but it's been an interesting couple of weeks for Sonic Frontiers, so I just wanted to talk about how this game has really been a real game changer, no pun intended, to the franchise. So let's talk about it. Sonic Frontiers released 2 weeks ago. Of course, the big elephant in the room is it a good game? And it's a complicated question, but generally it is. It is actually a pretty good game. As most of Sonic fans know, the last couple of years for Sonic they have been not very good. So we've got from the likes of Sonic Forces, Sonic 06, we've had Sonic Boom. It hasn't been a good couple of years in general. So, of course, Sonic Frontiers was a huge gamble, especially when it was first announced, and with all the leaks and rumors, and finally getting that first trailer from IGN back in June, people were mixed. And with good measure, because I don't think the first trailer represented what the game really was, and it really didn't do a great job on actually selling the product as a reinvention for the franchise. I mean, it was a huge improvement in terms of the scale, making it an open zone, what they call. But I honestly, I feel pleasantly surprised because, first of all, it is a good game. Second of all, it is a pretty fun game, which are two very different things. Because you can make a good game, but ultimately, if the gameplay is not fun, it only gets you so far, I guess. But it is a good game with a good gameplay, so it is pretty addicting. I'm not gonna lie, like running through these islands with this huge space, which I mean, it's being criticized a little bit because it's a little empty, but I feel like it's a perfect playground. Because yes, I mean it is empty, but how fast you're actually going, I feel that it's the perfect scenario for Sonic to, pretty much capitalize on the fact that Sonic is fast. And there's not too many games out there, or I would even dare say there's no games out there that let you have this sort of open area to go this fast. And honestly, for a first attempt, it's actually pretty good. It's still pretty interesting to me how they managed to, be so successful, even though the fans' response at first wasn't that good. That's first point, and the second is that God of War Ragnarok released the day after Sonic Frontiers, so it is pretty surprising. Up to a certain point of view, of course, God of War Ragnarok is an amazing game. It's 10 out of 10. There's no question about it. When a lot of people saw the release date, and considering that, again, God of War Ragnarok was going to release the day after, in my perspective, was like, I'm pretty sure that this game is not going to sell that much, considering the track record. There was hype. I'm not going to lie. There was a lot of hype, especially in the last month before the release. But still, there wasn't such huge confidence in this game, I think. I mean, I'm not saying that the developers didn't have any confidence, or I'm not saying that the director didn't have any confidence in the game. They actually did have a lot of confidence. They actually exhorted players to play it and, give it a chance. So, of course, the confidence was there, but it was such a huge step that I guess that in some ways it's something new for a franchise that has been failing over the years. And not only that, it's all about being inconsistent, because we've had some really good Sonic games, and then we've had, the not so good. So it's so weird that in some aspects this game should have failed in so many ways. But it didn't, and I'm actually pretty happy for that, because Sonic has had the best couple of years, especially after the first Sonic movie, which, I mean, you can say whatever you want about the first trailer. We all know that it's trash, of course. The movie itself is actually pretty good. It was made with love, with care, with respect. even though the first design wasn't good, I feel like it's a piece of movie and gaming history of how listening to the fans, is actually a pretty good sign. Sega really was inspired by that because, in many ways, they've actually said in a couple of interviews that they were inspired by the movies, and you can see that in the game. You can definitely see that. But for the most part, I think that in terms of the fan response and of course the changes that they made to the design, such a crucial part in creating that sort of relationship. Of course, they've made these changes. They tried to get the most feedback that they could, doing a lot of play tests. That's actually how much of the game got leaked because of these play tests. Which again, it's not really a bad thing, but of course the leaks are always bad. Leaks are bad, but it shows that at least Sega is listening, is trying to make things different, or a Sonic team in this case, since they're the developers. It is pretty satisfying to see how well the game is doing. It's doing pretty well in Japan, considering the fact that, what's his name? Takashi Isuka. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. He said that Sonic was struggling in Japan because he wasn't that popular. And it's interesting considering the fact that Sonic Team is comprised by Japanese developers. So in terms of sales in Japan only, not counting the US, according to Game Rant, Sonic Frontiers become the fastest selling mainline Sonic game in Japan. So this is something really interesting because, like I said before, this is not a very popular character in Japan. This is such a big step, not only into, of course, making Sonic more mainline, but gathering that sort of confidence, like I said before, to make more games, because this is a huge step. I feel like there's so many room for evolution. It's not a perfect game. Of course it's not. That's where improvements can be done in future games. Even Mr. Izuka mentioned that this is the first step for the next generation of Sonic games, and I'm pretty excited for it because there's so many things that, of course, can be improved, can be added, like any other game. This is just a perfect moment. This actually, talking about it, it's been a perfect year for Sonic because we are talking about a very good and record-breaking sequel, which is actually pretty good. I do love Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie. I feel like it's one of the best video game adaptation. It does have its faults, I'm not gonna lie, but it's still pretty fun, generally speaking. Then we have the whole Sonic Frontiers hype, the whole anniversary celebration. Of course, Sonic Origins has been in the conversations for controversy in terms of whole music stuff going on with Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and how this game came in a broken state. It's been rushed, whatever, but it's still a very good compilation of the 2D Sonic games that made Sonic mainline. Now we have Sonic Frontiers, which is a huge success, and then we're gonna have the Netflix show next month on December, Sonic Prime. So it is a pretty good year, and I'm actually all for it. I definitely want more Sonic content. Of course, there's been a lot in the past years, but this is finally the right path. I feel like this is a perfect moment for Sonic Team and Sega to, get their shit together, because this is what it's all about. This was one of the biggest criticisms of the company, and the developers, of course. They need to get their shit together. They were making some really good games. I feel like Sonic Lost World in particular was a pretty good game. I liked it. The fact that it's not as popular because, first of all, it came in the Wii U. It's an exclusive. It is on Steam, I think. Not 100% sure. A lot of people are comparing it to Mario Galaxy, and I get it. But it does borrow some of the best from it. So it's not really like an insult. Now, again, going back to Sonic Frontiers, I was pleasantly surprised of how badass portrayed Sonic this time around. I mean, he was always a badass, but I feel like in the 2010s, in the so-called meta era, or dark era, or whatever you want to call it, It was all about jokes. It was all about childish interactions and dialogues. But with this game, they actually made Sonic badass. And how? By changing the dialogue. It's very important. Changing the story, making it more serious, and making a badass soundtrack. Because honestly, the boss fights in this game are amazing. I love these, and I've crossed through many videos in in Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, making memes about these songs because they're that good. If you like and love rock music, you are definitely gonna love this. They just show you this, and they don't tell you that this is from a Sonic game. You would have been pleasantly surprised of how good they are. They're really catchy. They represent that sort of rush and that sort of hype that a boss fight should have, especially considering you're using Supersonic for these fights. I was really excited of how they did it. Again, I don't know how they can improve. I mean, of course, there's a lot of stuff that they can improve, especially with the challenges. I feel like the challenges are pretty repetitive, but other than that, I'm no game developer, so of course, with the player feedback, there's a lot of stuff to improve. By the end of the game, I was smiling. I was so satisfied, and I feel like that's the purpose of the game. Not really just making it a good game and that's it. No, if it leaves you an impression, it's actually something that you want to keep playing. That's where the game is good, in my eyes. I'm no critic. I mean, I'm definitely trying to not be biased because I do love Sonic, but of course, we gotta put our feet on the ground. We gotta be realistic. I honestly love the direction that they're going with. I really hope that they actually hear the fans because the fans are loud. They are a loud bunch. I'm not a hardcore Sonic fan like many other communities are out there for not only Sonic video games but also Sonic medium as a whole. This can be potentially the renaissance of Sonic, and I'm all for it. They are definitely listening to old fans, to longtime fans, and it's such a really good strategy to make, and hopefully they actually get through it. So with that being said, I think that's it for this video. I want to know what you think. So first of all, big question: do you like Sonic Frontiers, and where do you play it? Because of course there's some technical issues with the game, so I want to know where you're playing it and what you're experiencing. And of course, what do you think of the future of Sonic? Are you hopeful? Are you done with it? What are your thoughts? So with that being said, thank you very much for watching this video. Just like, subscribe, share it with your friends. That would help me out a lot, guys. So this was Said Games reporting. Thanks for watching.